How are you? My name is Tony again. I'm joining you on Man Enough. And today I wanted us to look briefly at something we call identity. And we ask ourselves, where does man get his identity from? Because you realize what is missing most of the men is because they're not understanding themselves. They're not understanding their true identity. And once you lose your identity, you are in for it. And for Man Enough Talk, this is foundational. And we see that identity crisis is at the heart of men's confusion today. And if a man does not know where his identity comes from, then he will borrow it, and borrowed identity always collapses. So it is good to know what is your true identity. We are saying today we would want to know where a man get his true identity from. And one source of his identity is from his creator, who is God. Because all of us, regardless of our religion, we believe that there is higher power, there is the source of creation, and we drew our primary identity from that, because the primary identity is not cultural, it's basically or essentially it is spiritual. And according to Genesis, for us who are Christian, Genesis 1:27, man is made in the image of God. And that means identity is given, not achieved. Worth is inherent, not earned. And manhood is defined by design, not by threads. Because most of the people or most of the men we have are defining the identity from the trading activities that are happening around us. But we say manhood is defined by design and not by threads. And when identity comes from God, a man knows who he is even when he loses what he has. So when you get your true identity from God, even if you lose what you have, you keep your identity, because you know who you are based on whose you are. And when identity comes from God, purpose is stable. When identity comes from God, validation is is internal, not external. You get validation from within yourself, not from external things that are physical and bowed by time and or rather erodes with time. And without this anchor, everything else becomes shaky. So it is good to know that your true identity is from God. Number two source of identity as men is from purpose and assignments. Each one of us has a divine God-given assignment that we have. And as a man, we draw a lot of identity from this. Identity is reinforced through responsibility. And a man discovers himself by carrying responsibility, building something, protecting something, and providing value. Again, I will remind us that a man discovers himself by carrying responsibilities, because we have responsibilities we have been assigned as men. Then man discovers himself also by building something. Man must be found building something in their lives, and this is how they reinforce their identity. Man must be found protecting something, and we must always define what we are protecting as a man. And man reinforces his identity by providing value. The community expects us to give value. The community expects us to show value and to be of value in our everyday life. So purpose shapes identity, and when a man has no mission, he will always look for distractions. And we always find men looking for distractions, doing drugs, in pleasures of life, because they lack in their mission or understanding what their mission is. Then number three, where men draw identity from, is from relationship with truth, because a man's identity gets strengthened when he lives by principles. His identity is strengthened when he stands by convictions, and his identity is strengthened when he aligns with truth, even when it costs him. So man's true identity is found from his relationship with the truth, and essentially by living by principles, studying by convictions, and aligning with the truth, even if it cost him whatever he has. Because of this, we are right to say that integrity stabilizes identity. Because what matters when we live by the truth, by the way we relate with the truth, our integrity becomes solid, and integrity stabilizes identity. Of course, these are three sources of identity, very brief, but you realize there are also four sources of identities that men draw from, and most of the time they find themselves in crisis. And this is where crisis begin once you start getting your identity from the wrong places. And one false source of identity for men is money. And we say many men believe that I am what I earn. That's what most of men believe. Uh, when income rises, you find these men, or rather you find the confidence from these men rising also. And when income falls, identity collapse. So this is one danger of anchoring your identity on money and resources, because seasons change. There are seasons you'll have resources, there are seasons you'll have no resources. There are seasons you'll have money, and there are seasons you will not have money. Money is a resource and not a personality. If money defines you, then we normally say that poverty will destroy you, because there are times that you'll have no money and you need to be anchored properly on your identity. So if money defines you, poverty will destroy you, because you will not avoid at the phases of life in nature, the seasons of life. Number two, one false source of identity for men is what we call from sexual conquest. Because you find some men who measure their identity by number of women. There will be those men who measure their identity by the attention they get from women. And there are those who also will measure their identity, their identity from their ability to seduce. And all of these give you the false identity of who you are. They do not tell exactly who you are. This produces ego inflation, emotional emptiness, and shallow validation. So it is good to be anchored properly and make this not your source of your true identity, because sexual attention is not masculinity, it is just a temporary approval. So it is good to get your proper source of identity from where you draw the truest. And we have said the three sources of your identity. Number three source of identity is from social media and public image. And we are at a time where people are following likes, followers, public perception. And this one normally is putting men into a lot of pressure because they are not getting their true identity. Because this one is creating performance masculinity, because it's something you want to do so that your friends may like it on Facebook, so that you keep on feeding your followers, so that you keep being relevant to your followers and all this. And this also creates what we call comparison anxiety, because there's a lot of comparison that is happening with the growth of social media, because people are posting this and the other, and you feel like you're underperforming. We enter into what we call comparison anxiety, And this also creates fake confidence, because sometimes you may feel like because you have numbers of followers, you feel like you are doing, you are properly anchored, and you feel like you are on the top of the world. Like this one is a source of definition, but I want to remind us this one is not. So don't fall into that trap, because when identity depends on applause, silence becomes unbearable. You don't need people to keep on clapping for you, that or because of what you're doing. You need to understand your proper source of identity. Then another source of false identity is from titles and status, because you'll, in the world you're in, you'll find people introducing themselves as, I'm the CEO, I'm the pastor, I'm the bishop, I'm the manager, I'm an influencer, I'm a husband. All these are titles, and titles are roles, not identities. Titles are just roles, not identity. And when a man loses position, if that was his identity, then he loses himself. When you stop becoming a pastor, you don't stop, you don't lose. I mean, if you had anchored your, for example, you had anchored your identity on a pastor or the position or status of a pastor, what happened when you loses that state? When you had anchored your identity on husband, what happened when you lose a family, or your wife is gone, you're divorced, you're no longer a husband to somebody? What happens to your identity? So we don't need to anchor our identity on all those things. Then another source of false identity is traumas that you have gone through. And this is rarely discussed. Even if you may go through traumas and all that, sometimes you may find yourself picking the wrong identities from those. But it is also good we discuss it as men. Some men build identities around being the victim, others being abandoned, others being betrayed, and others being the strong one who never fails. Because you can get these false identities from the traumas you go through, and it is always good to pinpoint this, because pain can become personality if allowed. You can dwell on a lot of pain, and you forget who you are. But identity built on trauma keeps a man stuck in survival mode. This is something we need to note, because when you want to build, or when you accidentally or without knowing, you build your identity around trauma, eventually what will happen, you'll be stuck in survival mode and you'll never progress. It is good to acknowledge you've gone through trauma and allow yourself to move on. Of course, there are dangers of false identity, and sometimes it can ground you and make you stagnated and not move on as a man. Because when identity is external or from the things that we see, it must constantly be maintained. If you're looking at you externally and thinking, identifying you as by or picking an identity from the things that you have, then you must constantly maintain. If your identity is in the styles and in the attires that you wear, you must keep on changing them. If your identity is on the things that we see, big cars and whatever car you drive, whatever house you see, you stay in, you must constantly keep on maintaining them. Otherwise, your false identity will keep on eroding. When identity is external, it depends on circumstances, because as you're saying, circumstances may change, but what happens is we must keep anchored, because we may not have control over the seasons and time. And we are reminded that seasons change. As you find that there is a season to harvest, there is a season to plant, there is a season to be indoor, there is a season to be outdoor. So we're saying these external identities um, keep on changing because they depend on circumstances. And when the identity is external, it collapses under pressure, because this life is hard, is full of pressure. And when these identities are anchored, all our identity is anchored on external things, we will collapse under pressure. And this is why men break down when businesses fail. This is why men collapse when marriages end. This is why men spiral when reputation is damaged. And we need to keep on checking and asking ourselves, where is our identity, or our identity is anchored on. Um, and this is why men keep losing their lives, and because their identity is borrowed. So it is good to have the strong foundation, be a stable man who builds their identities on divine design, who build their identity on purpose and responsibility, a man who built his identity on character and integrity, a man who builds his character on internal convictions, and a man who builds his character on eternal value, not temporary validation. And for Man Enough Talk, we would like to end this statement, or to end this session with this statement, or I would rather, on behalf of Man Enough Talk, want to end this with this statement, that if you don't know who you are, you will chase things to feel like someone. That if you don't know who you are, you will chase things to feel like someone. And this is a trap that most of the people or men have found themselves in. They are chasing things because they are basing their identity on feelings, on things that are external, just to validate who they are. But again, I want to remind you, our true sources, our true source of identity, one is from divine, from the Creator. God is our creator, is our manufacturer. He knows us better and the purpose for which. So we always need to check from the scripture and know what is our identity. Then number two, we said we pick our identity as man from purpose and assignment, because every man is on an assignment. Every man is here for a purpose. And number three, we pick our identity from relationship with the truth, and we said we should live by principles. We need to stand by convictions, and we need to align ourselves with the truth, no matter how much it will cost, because integrity stabilizes our identity. God bless you. My name is Tony. We keep on engaging on Man Enough Talk. Let's grow together as men. God bless you.